What is a human right? Ask most people, and you'll hear answers rooted in law or politics, freedom of speech, the right to vote, protections granted by governments or international agreements. These are valuable, yes, but notice something they all have in common. They're externally defined, socially negotiated, and in practice they can be taken away. Now ask yourself, does that feel like what a human right should be? Isn't a truly fundamental right something that doesn't rely on institutions or enforcement, something no one, not even the most powerful authority, can ever really take from you? Today I want to propose a different foundation, one that doesn't begin with what societies allow, but with what it means to be human. I want to introduce a model that distinguishes between rights that are constructed, rights that are contingent, and those that are ontological, meaning rights that are built into the very structure of human existence. To make this real, we'll focus on a single example, what I believe is the most fundamental human right, the right to love. Not the right to be loved, not the freedom to act lovingly under law, but the irreducible, uncoercible inner capacity to love, something no law can give you and no system can truly take away. And this isn't just a philosophical curiosity. There are deep psychological consequences to how we conceive of our own agency, especially when it comes to feelings we may have been taught are fragile, shameful, or forbidden. If we can understand that love is not only ours, but something that cannot be denied, we open the door to a more grounded sense of self, resilience, and freedom. In our exploration today, we will journey through a triadic framework that not only explains the natural right to love, but also lays a foundation for understanding all human rights from an inner phenomenological perspective. Let's begin by rethinking where rights come from. Traditionally, we see rights as something constructed, granted by laws or sustained by political consensus. But consider a deeper source, an intrinsic ontological right that is simply part of what it means to be human. In our first triad, we distinguish between rights that are constructed, legal, normative, those that are contingent on social or political power, and those that are intrinsic, emerging from our very being. This intrinsic right, the right to love, is not something that can be revoked or denied by any external authority. It isn't merely prohibited from being denied or prevented by coercion. It is impossible to deny in the deepest sense. As you reflect on your own experience, ask, how does recognizing an inner, unassailable right to love empower you against external pressures? This shift from normative to phenomenological rights sets the stage for understanding love as not only a feeling, but a fundamental assertion of our human identity. Building on this foundation, we explore how love itself is structured as an inalienable right. Consider three dimensions: its internality, its volitional nature, and its irreducibility. Love arises from within. Its source is your inner self, not an external command. It emerges freely. You choose whom, how, and when to love. And it defies reduction, resisting any attempt to be simplified into mere behavior or observable action. Yet while love can be simulated or even suppressed in its expression, its core remains untouched, unreachable by coercion. Think about moments in your life when your inner feelings persisted despite external challenges. Does that not illustrate that while you might be forced to hide or mimic love, the true internal experience remains inviolable? This understanding leads us naturally to consider how these inner capacities shape our knowledge and perception of the world. Next, let's delve into how our capacity to love forms an essential foundation for knowledge itself. Traditionally, we say, I think, therefore I am. Yet consider adding two more dimensions. I care, therefore I know and I love, therefore I am free. In this triad, thinking, valuing, and loving are interwoven. Our emotions and values guide our understanding just as much as our rational thought. Love, in this view, is not a mere sentiment. It is a lens through which we engage with reality, an active stance of openness and freedom. However, our model also warns against reductionist threats that strip away this rich subjectivity. Whether it's a mechanistic view that sees us as nothing more than processors of data, a behaviorist perspective reducing actions to stimuli, or an objectivist approach erasing our inner experience, these views diminish the full spectrum of our humanity. How do you experience knowledge when you approach the world not just with your mind, but with your heart? This question bridges us to a more critical evaluation of rights in our lives. Now let's test our ideas against other human rights by establishing a minimalist ontological standard. We can classify rights into three categories: revocable rights that depend on external validation, enforceable rights supported by societal structures, and uncoercible rights that exist regardless of external enforcement. In this triad, the right to love stands out as uncoercible, rooted in the very fabric of our existence. Furthermore, when we examine the ontological status of rights, we see that some can be removed or suppressed, while others remain inviolable. It is the inviolable nature of intrinsic rights that provides a robust benchmark for assessing all other rights. Reflect on this. If the right to think or love cannot be stripped away, shouldn't our understanding of rights begin from these inner certainties rather than external grants? This perspective challenges us to redefine the very essence of what it means to hold a right. No profound idea comes without its challenges. In this section, we address common objections through our triadic framing of love's volition. First, consider the nature of love itself. It may sometimes appear as an involuntary feeling, yet it also involves willed attention and sustained devotion. While love can emerge spontaneously, you can also choose to nurture and commit to it, thereby exercising your freedom. However, the very freedom that characterizes love brings risks, misuse, ambiguity, and even potential destruction when love becomes obsessive or harmful. These risks are inherent in any freedom and serve as a reminder that embracing our inner right requires responsibility and mindfulness. As you ponder these dynamics, ask yourself, how do we balance the spontaneous nature of love with the deliberate choices that sustain it? Recognizing these complexities enriches our understanding of love as a dynamic lived experience, paving the way for a comprehensive summary. Let's now bring everything together. Our final triad crystallizes the core characteristics of the right to love. It is uncoercible, self-originated, and epistemic in nature. This means that love cannot be forced or stripped away. It is a natural emergence from within, and it fundamentally shapes how we perceive and interact with the world. Furthermore, the implications for human nature are profound. By affirming the unobjectifiable pre-legal nature of our rights, we affirm that our true selves cannot be reduced to data or legal documents. We are radically free, with love as both the foundation of our identity and the engine of our intellectual and emotional growth. What does this mean for your everyday life? It invites you to recognize and defend your inner freedom, to cherish the spontaneous and chosen aspects of your love, and to see these qualities as essential to a fulfilling, authentic existence. In embracing this model, we are invited to live a life where rights are not merely legal or social constructs, but fundamental truths of our being. By understanding that our capacity to love is inviolable, we reclaim a powerful agency over our inner lives, a truth that nurtures psychological well-being and deepens our interactions with the world. This perspective encourages us to challenge external pressures, resist reductionist narratives, and ultimately celebrate the rich, irreducible tapestry of human experience. In every thought, every act of care, and every moment of connection, we witness the profound impact of a right that is as natural as breathing. Let us step forward with the conviction that our inner freedom is not only our birthright, but the very wellspring of a life well lived.